Welcome back to Briggs on Books, our international talk show where we talk to authors from all over the world. And our theme has been that so many of our viewers we're hearing from are they're going to be authors. They're writing. They just want to get to the end of the process, figure out how to put that pencil down and move to the next step. And the next step is a giant step. So I like to have authors on the show who've done it, who've gotten finished with their book and kind of tell us their process and what they went through and where they are now, and also hear a little bit about their book. Our next author is Ismée Williams, all the way from New York City. Welcome, Ismée.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. What an honor to be here.
Well, my great pleasure. Before we go too far, here's Ismée's book cover, Abuelo, the Sea, and Me.
Yeah, so I can't take credit for the cover.
Okay.
I wrote the words, but the great Tatiana Gardel did all of the beautiful illustrations. I'm so happy that she partnered.
Tell us a little bit about the book.
So the book is about a little girl who goes to visit the beach with her grandfather across the seasons. And during these visits, she learns little bits and pieces about her grandfather's past in Cuba. And it's a story about intergenerational love and bonding, but also with themes of, you know, the ocean and the sand and seasons and how things change and, you know, obviously immigration. And yeah, I'm hoping lots of people find ways to connect with it.
By the way, here's a picture that you sent in of, tell me who's in this picture.
Oh, so that is my own abuelo. So that's the word for grandfather in Spanish. So my mother came to this country when she was a little girl, and my grandparents obviously left Havana under duress. And that's a picture of me with him. And it's, you know, the story is based off of him. And, you know, he always had to live by the ocean because he felt a great connection to it. And he was always kind of sad about leaving Cuba.
What age is this book written for?
It is for ages 4 to 8.
Okay.
But, you know, anybody can enjoy a picture book. I like to say that it's written also for all the wonderful adults who are going to take the time to read these stories to all the special children in their lives.
That's right. I usually say this in the end, but I'll say this one in the beginning. When I buy books for the grandparents, too, because they're the ones reading a lot of the books. And grandkids love to be read to by grandpa and grandma, abuelo and abuela, I guess you say.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's what drew us to the book. I say this sometimes. I have interns and producers that scour social media for the most interesting author, and the title and the cover just drew them in. They said, we've got to get this author on. And it's important to have a Latin influence amongst authors. In fact, you have your co-founder of the Latinx Kidlit Book Festival. Tell us about that.
Sure. So that is an endeavor that started in 2020 in the thick of the pandemic. A bunch of authors like me got together because we were very concerned that opportunities to connect with readers had, you know, disappeared because of the, you know, the international crisis everybody was facing. But also we were very concerned about the children, students everywhere who weren't allowed to go into this classroom anymore, and everything was being done virtually. And so we created a virtual book festival that could be, that first year, a lot of it was streamed not into the classrooms, but into kids' homes. You know, the teacher was like, we're all going to come together. And then since then, now we stream directly into classrooms and libraries across the country. And in fact, the world. We always have schools from Germany and Mexico. We even have a school in Thailand that tunes in. It airs during Hispanic Heritage Month. We have content for pre-K through 12th grade. And all of our content is recorded, and it's on YouTube, and so it can be accessed after the fact. It's very educational.
Yeah. Now, I talked about how so many of our viewers are authors in the making, and you're doing some special things, reach out to Latin authors?
We are. So the Latinx Kidlit Book Festival, which is a 501c3 nonprofit, part of our mission is to uplift these voices. These voices that have been traditionally marginalized, and help them succeed, help them get that book published. So this year we're initiating this first effort to make sure that pipeline stays very strong. It's called the Latinx Kidlit Book Festival's Storytellers Conference. It will be in New York City, the Great Apple, and we're very lucky. We are partnering with book publishers. The conference will happen in the amazing Scholastic Building in downtown Manhattan. And it will be an opportunity for individuals who identify as Latinx, who want to be writers or who are early stage writers of books for children and for adults. So you don't have to be a children's book author to join. And to meet with other authors that have been published, as well as the editors and all the publishers and the agents that live in New York City. So we have a great lineup. There'll be opportunities to get your manuscript critiqued, your query letters critiqued, and also, to network en comunidad, en familia. So we're, as I was saying earlier, it's like we're so lucky we made it here. We have a, the beautiful published book, and we want to turn around and hold out our hands and welcome all the other new voices that are coming up behind us.
Yeah, those authors we have who are trying to finish writing, it sounds like there's going to be resources that they don't even know they need when they finish writing, but they'll be introduced to those ideas through what you're doing. And what about those who need help just getting to the finish line?
So that we will have sessions for that as well. I mean, I would also say you should check out the Latinx Kidlit Book Festival schedule because, like, for instance, I donated to my kids' public school auction, and I said, have like an Ask Me Anything for 30 minutes. And they asked me anything. It was like these two women who want to write a graphic novel, and they're like, how do we do it? And I was like, well, I don't write graphic novels, but there is a session in the Latinx Kidlit Book Festival where we have two best-selling graphic novelists telling you how to write a graphic novel, and it's it's geared to high schoolers, but anybody can watch it. It's there. It's free. Please check it out.
I know out here in California we have so many great Latinx stories, grandfathers, grandmothers, people that are still around, and these stories need to be taken down, and they're different from Texas stories or Florida stories, and it's just important that this history doesn't get lost, and it's so rich. And I love to read, especially about people coming from Cuba, which I identify that because I was born in 1959, and they always say my birth year when they're talking about Cuba. So I love those stories. Now, will somebody have to attend in person the festival, or will there be an online way
Great
to access?
Great question. So the Storytellers Conference right now is in person. So you would have to make your way to New York. There's information on the website, latinxkidlitbookfestival.com, on, lodging. I think there would be discounts and such, and ways to, to buddy up with people if you want like a ride from the airport. But the Latinx Kidlit Book Festival itself airs on Fridays. We call them Festival Fridays during Hispanic Latinx Heritage Month. And again, those are primarily aimed for students, pre-K through 12th grade. So the ideal would be that they would be streamed into classrooms and libraries across the country.
Now, those who can't get to New York this year, do you think there might be one next year?
That would be our hope. Yeah, our hope is that this would be the first of many. And, we might rotate because we understand that geographical location can be a challenge, which is one of the reasons why we've kept the primary festival virtual to allow, rural schools and schools that never have an opportunity to have authors come to visit them to have access.
Now, we have your website on the screen, which is ismaywilliams.com. What an easy web address. And
right.
Will they be able
well, if you can remember how to spell my name, I mean, it's like the blessing and the curse of having an unusual name.
Will your website link them to those other resources?
That is a good question. But I can put it on there if it's not there already.
All right.
It might not be. Woo. But I can put it on.
Yeah, and also we have your Instagram, Ismée Williams. Instagram, Ismée Williams. That's the whole web address.
Yep.
I just want to, you're so rich with resources and thoughts and ideas. I want to close by going back to your book a little and just give you a minute to talk about your book or anything in the world you want to talk about. And here's the cover, by the way.
Oh, thank you. So I would say, I also want to I mentioned Tatiana in the beginning. She has her own story. She brought her own history with her own grandfather to the telling of the story. And, I started out as a young adult author. So I have 3 young adult books that have been published. This is my first picture book. And I remember attending a writer's conference in New York City and, like sitting in on like, oh, maybe one day I'll write a picture book. Picture books are cool. I love them. I read them to my kids all the time. And hearing from an author who said that they'd never met their illustrator, and part of the beauty of the creation of the story is that you have these words and they give them to the illustrator, and then the illustrator takes it and infuses their own layer of creativity to it and sort of makes the story blossom to another level. And I think that completely happened here, and I'm so pleased with the results, and I hope you guys are too.
Yeah, that is great. Yeah, and like I said, the cover is what drew us in. Now, I'll make a plug for you. Is the age group that this book is written for? If you have kids that age, I know one thing they're going to do this year, that's go to a bunch of birthday parties. So go and order this. Don't order one. Hit 5 times or 10 times. Give this one out to the birthday parties your kids go to. I always try to send my kids with a book to those parties. If you're a parent, get the book to read to your kids, but get a copy for grandma too. So order a whole bunch of these is my pitch to you guys.
Thank you.
Ismée,
Thank you. And I am doing a special on my website now. I will send out a free personalized book plate. So I'll sign it and I can personalize it to that special child. I'm doing it this week because it's launch week, because the book birthday was just yesterday. Yay.
Okay.
And I'll run them throughout the year. Like Grandparents' Day is coming up in September. I'll probably do it for that week as well.
So the parent or somebody could order the book. It'll show up. They'll open it, and it's inscribed with the kid's name in it.
Yeah, it's special.
Yeah.
It's something special.
Yeah, so go to ismaywilliams.com.
Great. Thank you so much.
I want you to come back again. You have so many. We didn't get to talk about a lot of this stuff in depth, but it's all very important.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I so much appreciate being here.
All right, and for our viewers, don't go anywhere. We'll be back with more authors right after this.
Great.